Welcome to Andrew's Workshop Projects, Part 6. Andrew arrives at my workshop with his latest project, a Stuart Model's twin launch engine, and shows me a novel way of running in the Eccentrics. We discuss various topics, and as usual, I continue explaining the importance of scale. My friend Andrew has not been model engineering for very long, maybe about 2.5 years at a guess. And he has his own YouTube channel, which is called Model Engineering Adventures. The title is on screen. Before starting the filming of this video, Andrew and I were talking about the problem of speaking over each other during the narrative. Once I untied him and removed the gag, he did start to speak. Over now to the live workshop audio. This is Andrew's Stuart twin launch. And I must admit, it's looking good. It's nearly there. I don't know about the position of the drain cocks, but it's rather good. Not an easy model to build. I've worked on a few of them and never really wanted to build one. Although it's not as bad as a triple expansion engine. I lost the will to live when I was making that. But yeah, nice job, Andrew. And it's turning over very well indeed. Have you run this in the lathe?
Not yet, no.
I don't think you need to. And here in the chuck of my lathe are 4 eccentrics, and the idea is to run in the eccentrics before they're put onto the engine. That way you don't have to wear the other parts of the engine out. At the moment they're not all that tight. Can you show how not tight they are? To run that in, I would have drilled the end of the bar and put a live centre in it. Because if that went spectacularly wrong, if anything locked up, you would end up with a piece of steel bar with a load of mangled pieces of metal on the end of it. But yeah, it's good. Let me zoom in.
I think it's a good comment that you're not wearing the other part of the engine out to get something run in parts before you put it on the engine.
I've had engines that have been so stiff when they've been assembled, and I've had to turn them over manually. I once burst some blood vessels in my arm on a 5A just by manually turning it over, and I did it again on a Manor class 5-inch gauge locomotive. Somebody had built it, was very well made, but just too tight, and with the 5A, by the time it was actually running, there were things starting to prematurely wear.
But you can still tighten the nuts to take up some slack if they are slack. But there is only a 1/32 groove in that to plan, not the normal 16th groove. I'm pleased with those.
Unfortunately, Andrew bought this. Now, I'm really not going to have a go at any Chinese-made parts, but no, I don't think it's going to be suitable for a 504 boiler. It doesn't look right. It does work, though.
That's for 3mm ID, that is.
3mm internal diameter ball racers. And that's a universal joint. It's all very good, but I don't really have a place for it. Behind all this stuff is this engine. I'm making a series about it, and tomorrow the deal goes through. I actually pay for it tomorrow, and then I'm going to do a little bit of work on it to just make it run a little bit better than it does currently. And having said that, I am being picky, but I'm not OCD. I'm going to have a go at one of Andrew's viewers who said, oh, Keith's OCD will have been triggered by that. I'm not OCD. That stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. I'm obsessive, yes, and I have other disorders, but I'm not compulsive. Repulsive, perhaps.
Picky?
It's not down to being picky, dear fellow. It's down to personal standards.
I have to say I struggled with agreeing with you on the scale. But I have come round to the idea that you're correct.
Can you say that again?
No, I'll only say it the once, and if you didn't get it on video, tough shit. It was like these, to get these exactly right, and to measurement, but they look right. If you kept them like that, it would look wrong. So I'm coming round to the idea of...
Let me give you an example. If we want to be picky, what you have to think about is the size of the human who would be next to the part that you're looking at. This is an engine from a boat, so a human would be taller than the engine. It would be that size. This is not Titanic. I would say a human being for this would be that tall. And an action man is that tall. But we had this conversation at Andrew's place, and Andrew's got an action man, but he's anatomically incorrect. My action man, who hangs from a shelf because he was an action man deserter, is fully to scale. He's got quite delicate fingers, and I've used this action man quite a lot of times. Let me show you another example. If you look at the Stuart number 9 engine, look at the size of the hand wheel. Now, action man's hand would fit on that, so once again, I would say that the man who runs this engine is going to be 1 foot tall. So this engine is a bigger engine than this one in a boat. If you think about it, this is quite a small engine, and the same ruler applies to both of them. And it's a rule of thumb or a rule of action man. If an action man was here, and he isn't, he's up in the workshop.
Busy.
He's busy, he's just hanging around. He fits both scales, and things give it away, like the size of the hand wheel. And if you look on Andrew's engine, the size of an action man's hand on the drain taps. So everything is in scale. And behind this engine is a 6-inch diameter boiler, which actually came with the number 9. I was asked to build this into a steam plant with a condenser economizer, this boiler and the number 9, and it was really difficult. I really struggled with it because it was so wrong for this number 9. And the other thing to remember is that boilers were seldom in the same area as the engine. In a steamboat, they didn't have any choice. If we put Andrew's engine, the twin launch, next to the big boiler, it's more or less in scale. I think, if anything, the boiler's a bit big. Let's use our 1 foot rule action man again. Right in the corner is a Stuart double 5A. Now, a Stuart 5A is capable of propelling a 25-foot boat. So one assumes that a twin 5A should be okay for a 45 to 50-foot boat. You're going to need one hell of a boiler though. These things don't run on fresh air. But once again, scale applies. If you look at the scale of a 5A, which is about 15 inches tall, the action man wouldn't apply. It would be wrong, because this is a full-size engine, so it would be, if I was stood alongside it, it was on the floor, mounted on some sort of a mounting to drive the propeller, it would be just above my knees. So what, 3 foot tall? All a question of scale. And it's very, very easy to get it wrong. The penny's sort of dropping because this is going to be a really nice engine. It's very desirable. He's painted the top, but he's also going to clad it. He painted it to prevent any rust. And really, while you're at it, I suppose you could actually clad that with some thermal stuff, that thin stuff.
Could do, yeah.
And that is it for this video with live audio. There's more to come in another episode. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.